All right. Hi guys, welcome to the full moon in Gemini reading. So we're a little late today because I lost track of time. Classic me. But if you're here, thank you for being here. And if you're watching on the replay, welcome to my channel. It's Siobhan with ToKittyandBeyond. And we are talking about the Gemini full moon energy today, as it is the Gemini full moon currently. So tonight we're working with this energy, but it's been building up for the past week or so, and it will still affect us through the waning period as well. So we have this energy to work with for a little while longer. So the full moon energy is always a culmination point. It's always bringing something to its period of wholeness or completion, and this full moon is no exception. So the Gemini energy is also something that I want to focus on because Gemini is really interesting energy and it relates very personal to me as it's pretty dominant in my chart. So Gemini is the archetype of the lovers in the tarot. And so the Gemini energy represents love, romance, connection, community as well, and balance through harmony within connections with other people, and how we communicate and express in connection, in relationship with others, because the sign itself is all about the twins. So it's this dual aspect, or these two people in harmony with one another, two aspects of the same whole, which also represents the masculine and the feminine. So we have the yin and the yang energy, the duality and the polarities of Gemini are always present through these types of astrological transits. And if you have Gemini in your chart, you're very familiar with this type of energy. So we are working with this right now, and there's a lot of energy to be had around connections. I've been seeing this in terms of really creating and connecting with people on a new sort of mental level, because Gemini is an air sign. So it's very centered on the mind, the intellect, communication, speech, writing, learning, teaching, all of these different aspects. And that's another thing that I wanted to mention when we're talking about Gemini aspects. It's not just connection through feeling connected or through the emotions. It's more so through the mental stimulation. Mind-to-mind communication, telepathy can even be something that comes to the forefront through the Gemini full moon, because we're extra sensitive to energy and Gemini rules the mind, so it can make us even more attuned to one another's mental bodies. So this really has an emphasis on connecting through social groups, social gatherings, or social communication. We have social media rampant through the world right now, and we can communicate using that tool. So we're not limited by time or space in terms of communicating, sharing ideas, learning, teaching, and connecting with one another. So I think that that's really cool, and it's a very emphasized aspect right now through this Gemini full moon. So ideas are really coming to the forefront. Communicating with other people to kind of bounce ideas off of one another is a theme that's really highlighted. And I've been seeing that even coming up in my own life with clients coming and bringing me ideas and having new opportunities for ways of thinking or creative projects that you want to kind of get off the ground in terms of a new kind of it's almost like an epiphany or a concept or a new idea that maybe has been stewing around in the background, and all of a sudden during the Gemini full moon, it kind of gets brought up in communication with other people. So definitely we're approaching the holiday season as well, so communication, family gatherings, and group settings are highlighted already. So it's really perfect for this Gemini full moon to be falling right in that kind of space where we can really use those types of connections and communications to bounce ideas, to group think, to, and I don't mean group think as in like conformative thinking, I mean like a think tank, you know, where you're working together to kind of suss out an idea, to flesh out all of the details, and to kind of really understand some of these new aspects or concepts that are coming up at that mental level. So expressing through groups is emphasized, new projects, learning and teaching is also emphasized as well. So you might be starting new projects in terms of what you want to teach others, or you might be starting something new in terms of learning. So you might be signing up for a new course, like getting a new service or something that stimulates the mind or teaches you something new. You might be even going out into the world in a physical aspect or way in terms of connecting with other people, learning something new. Because another great way of learning is not just through the written or spoken word, it can also be through experience. I think one of the greatest tools that we have at our disposal in terms of learning and growth is really just through experience. That's the whole reason why we're here. So this aspect, like I said before, it also brings up the concept of duality and polarity. So it asks us to kind of see both sides of information or knowledge, to really see both aspects that are present and to try to find harmony between those, or try to understand both aspects of those concepts or ideas, or the truth even as well. And I know that we live in a time right now where there's so much access to truth that what is the ultimate truth becomes a little bit convoluted. You know, there's false media, there's all sorts of false truths, fact checkers, things like that. So this is a great opportunity to not only kind of speak about your truth in terms of the people whom you're close to, with the intent of understanding one another and communicating, expressing your values through this period of communication, with Gemini being highlighted right now. So teamwork is emphasized rather than duality and separation. We want to bring together, we want to create harmony. That's an aspect of Gemini as well. So harmony is emphasized, and we're going into the year 2022, which numerologically boils down to number 6, which is all about harmony, companionship, connection, family units, and really creating balance with above and below, inside and outside. So having all of those separate polarities really merge together and create something that's much more balanced. And Gemini, being represented by the Lover's card, is the number 6 as well. So this is again about harmony, companionship, communication, connection, and balance. So be on the lookout for new concepts, new ideas, new ways of thinking, new opportunities for learning, new opportunities for teaching, really anything at all that kind of sparks your interests or gets your mind wheels spinning. So next I want to talk about a few of the alignments that are going on. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but I'm not an astrologer. I just really like to look at the astrology because it's an area of curiosity for me and a hobby that I really enjoy looking into. So the moon is trining Jupiter through this transit, or through this lunation. So we have a harmonious aspect from the moon to Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion, growth. It's also often the great benefic. So it's referred to as the great benefic because it brings us good luck, opportunity, it grows things, it expands things, and especially when it's in a harmonious aspect, such as a trine. So this gives us a lot more opportunity to use that Jupiterian energy in conjunction with the moon to be able to really seize opportunities, see good luck come to fruition, have new ideas that turn into really concrete or beneficial long-term goals or projects or connections with other people. So there could be new offers coming in. You could see expansion in relationships. You could see opportunities within relationships to grow, to learn, or to close out old cycles. And we'll talk about that in a second as well, because Venus is going retrograde tomorrow on December 19th, but we'll get into that in a second. So really, this energy of Jupiter being really present through this full moon, it feels to me like a big finale. So it's kind of like the end of a fireworks show where everything is going off and it's really brilliant and beautiful and it catches your attention. And I feel like that is what this full moon is bringing to the table. So we're really seeing a lot of expansion, a lot of big final statements of people who really want to kind of get it out on the table, or new ideas or new inspiration that is available, which brings a lot of good luck and a lot of growth and expansion and evolution into the year to come. So in addition to the moon trining Jupiter, we also have an alignment with this lunation with the galactic center. So the galactic center is the very center point of our galaxy. And this is an energetic portal, if you will, that allows us to tune into the energy of our entire galaxy. So the vibration or the frequency or the sort of sound wave, the melody, if you will, of our own galaxy, the Milky Way. So this allows us to kind of have an opportunity for a major reset or a refresh. I feel like this is aligning us with our divine path, each individually and both, as a collective as well, because what affects the one affects the many and vice versa. So it feels to me like this alignment with the galactic center it's wiping the board clean, so to speak. It's like I said, even with Jupiter, it's the big finale. So it's getting all of those things out on the table and then being able to kind of move into the next thing. So like I was saying, tomorrow, December 19th, we have Venus going retrograde until January 29th. So Venus is going retrograde in Capricorn. It goes retrograde every 18 months, and the last one was in May and June of 2020, and that was in the sign of Gemini, which is what this full moon is in. So it's interesting that we have that kind of parallel here, where it's Gemini and it's this moon and Venus and all of these different things that are going on. But we have Venus going retrograde in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the karma planet. It's kind of like hard lessons and things that we need to do the right way rather than the fast way. And yeah, the fast way may be easy, but the right way, even though it's a little bit harder, it will yield you better results long term. And when you actually do the work and you learn the lesson, you really get to enjoy the value that's created from that based on the experience, the understanding, and the hard work. So Saturn is a taskmaster for sure, but it allows us to really enjoy the fruits of our labors, right? Because it does require us to labor, but that makes the enjoyment of the fruit that much sweeter. So Saturn is going to be emphasized through this Venus retrograde that's coming up tomorrow. And this is going to give us an opportunity to review karmic contracts. So this is literally what I do on a day-to-day basis with people doing Reiki and soul realignment work. It's a lot of karmic clearing, a lot of bringing karmic contracts to the surface. And all throughout the years, there's many people who come forward needing karmic clearing in terms of romantic relationships. And we see these as negative soulmate contracts in the soul blueprint or in the Akashic blueprint. And not every soul contract is going to be a negative soulmate contract. There's tons of positive ones. But the ones that come forward for clearing doing this kind of work are negative soulmate contracts because they are built on a foundation of disempowerment. And the dynamic between the two souls is often one of abdication of responsibility for personal happiness, for protection, for health, for healing, for whatever it is. So this is where Venus in retrograde is kind of going to bring these things up to the surface. So I'm not going to be surprised if I start to see more clients coming forward needing to do some negative soulmate contract clearing work, or cutting karmic cords of attachment, or doing heart healing, things like that. Very common through Venus retrogrades. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're all going to be ending relationships. It just means that there's going to be a reassessment and a reevaluation of the way that we approach relationships, or what we value within them, and how we value ourselves, and how, as a result, that reflects in the types of relationship dynamics that we actually have, or that we're capable of having. So this is an emphasis on releasing past ties, whether they're still present or not, and allowing yourself to move forward, to review, to reassess, and to understand at a deeper, more profound level how relationships impact you and how you interact with them and why. So there's going to be a lot of assessment to do with love, the self, and then the other, which I just love the parallel between this Venus retrograde that's upcoming and the Gemini transit that we're going through now, because it's all about that dual energy of myself and another, right? So it's you and the other version of you, i.e. the twins. And that's what we really all are, is we're all a reflection of one another. We are all one at the end of the day, at the source. We've come from the same place. We're going back to the same place. We're all that same consciousness split off into all of these different fractals interacting with one another. And so that's where I find this energy really beautiful for helping us to understand each other better, to communicate more effectively, to share ideas, and to understand ourselves a little better in that interaction as well. So releasing of past ties, healing and renewal of concepts related to love is going to be emphasized going forward through December and January. And then self-worth is also highlighted as well. So Venus is the planet of beauty, love, and value. So it does have a connection to money, but in terms of valuation and worth, it's not necessarily just money. It's also about how we value ourselves, how we feel worthy within ourselves. So again, heart-centered healing, solar plexus healing could be highlighted at this time as well. It depends, it varies from person to person based on what you need and your own personal experience, but those are the two that I feel are going to be highlighted through these transits. And this is going to be a big emphasis on rediscovering your own self-worth, connecting with your own self-worth, and how that is displayed through your connections with others, i.e. your boundaries for yourself, how you apply those boundaries with others, how you find connection with other people, if you're being valued within those connections appropriately, and vice versa. So all of these aspects of self-worth, evaluation, and connection within love and romantic relationships, and all kinds of relationships as well. It doesn't have to be purely romantic. Venus rules love in general, and I love that the Greeks have so many different words for love, because there's different types of love. There's mental love, emotional love, platonic love, familial love, self-love, general love for the collective, whereas in English we really only have love. So I like that there's different ways of expressing it, and there's also that one unified whole, that aspect of love as well. So there's different kind of concepts in terms of how we express love, how we embody love, and how we connect through love. So money value concepts being reevaluated through this time could show up as shifts or changes in work or jobs, could show up as shifts and changes in how you value yourself, i.e. maybe going to a place that gives you more benefits or more financial security. It could be reevaluating where financial security is important or where it's not important in your life, right? If you're sacrificing personal health, mental health, well-being, or connections within family for financial security, maybe that's going to be reevaluated. Or the other way around, if you're prioritizing love and relationships, but then you're not feeling secure in other more secure financial, physical aspects or more tangible things in your life, then again, it's kind of like, how can we balance these things out? How can we create harmony? Again, the emphasis on harmony is being highlighted through this full moon, through the Venus retrograde, and going into 2022. It's going to be all about how do we create harmony between these different things that we're trying to balance out? How do we get them to kind of work together and to be one unified whole rather than separate parts that need to be constantly balanced? So that's basically what I had to share in terms of notes for this full moon in Gemini. So now I want to pull a card from the Moonology Deck, and I'm wearing my La Luna shirt, and my moon poster is up in the back as usual. So I love me some good moon energy. So let's take a look and see what's coming up from the Moonology Deck for this full moon in Gemini for the collective. What energies are we working with, and what do we need to know? Okay, you guys, I love this. You can't make this shit up. Excuse my language. So Full moon in Gemini is the card that we got. The answers you need are coming. So you can see there, the full moon in Gemini energy is very, very present. This is the current moon phase that we are in. So of course, this is the first card that popped up. And you can see there the twins being displayed on that moon. So there's two aspects of the self that are unified. They're the same. Twins are biologically the same, have the same DNA imprint, and yet they're two separate entities, two separate beings with different consciousness and different aspects of free will. So this is kind of the concept behind harmony and unification. It's the understanding that yes, we are all physically separate, but we are made from the same whole. We are made from the same stuff. We come from that same area, location, consciousness, energy source, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same, and yet we're experiencing ourselves as separate. So I love that this energy is coming up. I love that this is the card that chose to come out. I love this. I love it. It's so magical. So the answers you need are coming. So like I said, this is a highlighted energy of communication, epiphanies, awareness, new ideas. If you've been looking for answers, the answers might come around this full moon. So keep your mind open, keep your lines of communication open, not only with other people, but also with spirit. So meditate, communicate, or commune with your ancestors, with your loved ones, with any deities that you work with on a regular basis or that you're called to work with, any archangels, angels, passed on loved ones, spirit guides, and your higher self is always my go-to. Always the higher self. But you can also connect with other aspects of yourself. So your past self, your inner child, your adolescent self, your future self, your self as a starseed soul, where you originated from. So there's so many different ways of connecting with multiple aspects of the self that can bring new awareness, new ideas, new levels of consciousness, and therefore answers that might be beneficial through the next phase of the journey. So let's get another card here from the Moonology deck, and we'll see what is coming through. Okay, so we have a couple cards here. We have, again, I'm not surprised to see this card. We have the new moon in Libra energy, which is a new romantic cycle begins. So that's kind of what we're seeing here with this Gemini full moon leading into the Venus retrograde tomorrow. So this energy is all about new romantic beginnings. So it's not necessarily a great time to start a brand new relationship. However, it can bring new beginnings within existing relationships or in concepts of love and romantic connections. So there can be a lot more balance and harmony and unification, like I was saying, in the internal concept, and therefore how that's reflected in terms of external relationships from past, present, or future. We also have the full moon in Capricorn energy coming through. This is the end of a tough cycle. So the end of a tough cycle approaches, and that's kind of what it feels like here. It's like we've been through a lot in 2021. Those eclipses with eclipse season, the last couple of moons have been really intense, and they've kind of forced us to make some major changes in our lives, either internally or externally or both. And so it feels like we've kind of been through the ringer a little bit, and we're all kind of collectively, I think, hoping that 2022 is going to be a little bit easier. And there's this indication here with this card that the end of this cycle is approaching. It has been difficult, it has been challenging, but we are being given the kind of acknowledgement that yes, we've been through a lot, but it's the end coming up, you know. And sometimes I hate the saying it's darkest before the dawn, but it's because it's so cliche, but because it's so accurate, I still use it. And because it's true, it is really darkest before the dawn, and you don't see the light until it starts to rise, until you can actually kind of start bringing yourself up out of the heaviness, the density. The last card we have here is Prosperity Lies Ahead, which is the new moon in Taurus energy. I love that, especially because that that Venus retrograde energy is so predominant through this full moon and leading into the next month or so. So we've got prosperity lying ahead. And like I said, Jupiter is positively, harmoniously aspecting the moon right now. So there could be opportunities for new financial prosperity, but this doesn't have to be financial, but Taurus usually does indicate finances. Taurus usually does indicate money and physical things because Taurus is an earth realm energy. It's an earth sign. So it does have to do with physical security, enjoyment, and luxury to some extent. And Jupiter likes to expand and explore and create more. So we have an opportunity for new prosperity to come in if we are willing and open to the opportunities. It feels to me as though the little story that's coming to mind, or the joke that's coming to mind, is basically that if we are given an opportunity, we have to act on it. So it's kind of like the story of the man in the ocean, and he's in the middle of the ocean and he's all alone and he's kind of drowning, and he's asking for God to send him someone to save him, or he's asking for God to save him. And all of a sudden this ship comes by and he's like, hey, there we go. All of a sudden there's somebody there to save you. But he's like, no, but I asked for God to save me, so I'm not gonna take that opportunity. I'm not explaining it well, but I'm sure you guys have probably heard it. Basically, it's saying that God or source or the universe won't send you the result, but it will send you the opportunity to get the result that you're looking for. So if you're asking for courage, you'll be sent opportunities or challenges that will test your courage. If you're asking for a cake, you will receive the ingredients to make it, and maybe even the recipe and the how-to instructions, but you'll have to kind of do it yourself. So it feels like this energy is giving us a boost or an opportunity to be able to create what it is that we want in terms of what we value most. Oh, and I just looked up and it's 1111 on the numbers there, so that's awesome. Great confirmation of new beginnings, gateways. I always see the 11s as like, actually I'm noticing that I've got these pillars in the back that are kind of like gateways as well. So it's like walking through that gateway into a new beginning, because ones represent new beginnings. So I think I will end it on that note. And thank you so much for being here, guys. I'm not going to be doing any personal readings today, as I'm creating, like I said in the last live that we did for the personal readings, I'm doing those completely separately now so that they're dedicated entirely to you guys. And thank you so much for your support, for your donations, for your likes and shares, and for checking out my website, for booking services, for working with me. Thank you for supporting in all of these various different ways. I really, really appreciate it. It allows me to serve my divine purpose here and to express my empowered soul. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we will see you on the next live, whichever, either it's going to be a new moon live or a energy reading. So I will keep you guys up to date. You can check out updates on the community board here on YouTube, as well as on Instagram in my stories. I will often post about it as well on my feed. All right, so thanks so much, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye.